Okay, I want you to picture something. And I think, really, every single person listening has felt this. You're driving home from work, same route you take every Tuesday. You know every single turn, every stop sign.
You could do it with your eyes closed.
You could. And you pull into the driveway, you turn off the car, and then you get this, like, cold flash. You realize you don't actually remember the last 10 minutes of the drive at all.
The dreaded autopilot. Yeah, that's a universal feeling for sure.
It is, right? I mean, you obviously stopped at the lights, you made the turns, you didn't crash, but your brain, your conscious brain, was just somewhere else.
Thinking about dinner or that meeting from this morning.
Exactly. And it feels efficient. It even feels safe because, hey, you made it home. But looking at all the research we have laid out here, that specific state of mind, that autopilot, is actually the danger zone.
It is the absolute danger zone. And it's important to say, it's not because you're a bad driver. It's because you're a human with a brain that is hardwired to save energy.
Right.
And when you're on autopilot, your brain stops taking in new data, and it starts relying on shortcuts. And on the road, those shortcuts have a name: assumptions.
And that right there is our mission for this deep dive. We are unpacking what the source material calls the first golden rule of driving. And on paper, it sounds almost too simple. Never assume anything. But as we were digging through these articles, these safety reports, I realized this isn't just a tip. It's about fighting your own biology.
That's the whole thing. This isn't just about traffic rules from driver's ed. It's about how our brains predict patterns. We're wired to assume the car ahead will keep going. We're wired to think green means go, green means safe.
So today we're talking about why those predictions, those mental scripts, are a leading cause of collisions, and maybe how we can rewrite them.
Exactly. How to stop guessing and start, verifying.
I have to say, one term from the sources really stuck with me. They called an assumption an unverified prediction. It just sounds so scientific for something that causes a fender bender.
But it is scientific that precision matters. When you assume, you are predicting an action like that driver is going to stop at the red light with zero evidence.
You haven't seen them brake.
You haven't seen their wheels slow down. You haven't seen the nose of their car dip. You're just banking on the idea of the rule, not the reality of what that car is doing.
And that gap between the idea and the reality is where things go wrong. But why? Why do we do it if it's so dangerous? Is it just like laziness?
It's not laziness, it's efficiency.
Yeah.
The brain is, an energy hog. It loves stability. So if you've driven through an intersection 1,000 times and no one's ever run the light, your brain makes a stability script. It says, green light means safe, no need to burn energy checking left and right. It just automates it.
So it creates this false security. We feel safe, so we stop looking.
Precisely. And that feeling leads to what the research calls reduced situational awareness. When you assume everything's stable, your focus just narrows. You stop scanning for the weird thing. You stop asking, what if?
You're driving based on a memory of the road, not the actual road in front of you.
That's a perfect way to put it.
The sources had this amazing analogy for this, the turn signal. This is something every single driver deals with. You're waiting to pull out of a driveway, traffic's a nightmare, you're getting impatient. You see a car coming, and its right blinker is on.
And your brain immediately says, great, my opening.
Instantly. You assume they're turning right where you are. It seems totally logical. The light's blinking, so they must be turning.
And that is flagged in the data as one of the single most dangerous assumptions a driver can make. The source material is very blunt. Assuming a blinker means a turn is a gamble.
Because it could mean anything. Maybe they forgot to turn it off 3 blocks ago.
Exactly. Or they're turning into the next street, just past you. Or they just bumped the little stalk reaching for their coffee. So if you pull out based on that blinker alone, you're acting on a guess. The verification, the only thing that matters, is seeing the actual physical change. Is the car slowing down? Are its wheels actually starting to angle?
That's such a key distinction. The blinker is the signal, but the wheel angle, that's the proof.
Until you see the mechanics of the turn, that blinking light is just a light bulb. It is not a contract.
It is definitely not a contract. And this applies to so much more than blinkers. The sources lay out this whole catalog of dangerous assumptions. Reading it felt like a checklist of how crashes happen.
Let's walk through it. It's a real rogues gallery of mental errors.
Okay, first one is misjudging intentions. This goes back to the red light idea. We just assume other drivers will follow the law. We see a red, so we assume cross traffic has to stop.
We assume the stop sign has like a magical force field around it. We think because we see the red light, the other driver sees it too.
But they could be texting or impaired.
Or just not paying attention. And that stop sign is just a piece of metal. It offers no physical protection. If you pull into an intersection assuming the other guy will stop, and he doesn't, that's a T-bone collision. And those are incredibly deadly.
It's terrifying. And what's wild is the sources say we are most likely to make these mistakes in places we feel the safest. They call it the familiarity trap.
Yeah, overconfidence in familiar areas. It sounds so backwards, right?
Right,
You'd think you'd be safer on your own street.
But you assume it's always the same. You assume there's no delivery truck parked around that blind corner because there usually isn't. You stop scanning.
No, you go right back to that autopilot. You aren't expecting the neighbor's kid to chase a ball into the street because he hasn't done it the last 50 times. You're driving on statistics, not on observation.
And when that statistic is wrong, just once, you aren't ready. Speaking of not seeing things, let's talk about the invisible threat, the blind spot.
Yeah. This is where we trust our equipment too much. The assumption is just, if I don't see a car in my mirror, the lane must be clear.
But the mirrors have limits. There are gaps.
Huge gaps. By not doing that physical head turn and the shoulder check, you are assuming your mirrors give you a 360-degree view. They don't.
I think we've all had that moment. You start to merge, you hear a horn, and there's a whole car right there that was completely invisible.
Pretty much everyone has.
Yeah.
And that's how you get a side swipe. You just merged into a space that was already occupied because you assumed silence meant safety.
The list also calls out speed and distance. This is the classic left turn across traffic problem.
Oh, yeah. We are notoriously bad at judging how fast things are coming toward us. It's a known visual trick. We see a car that looks small in the distance, so we assume it's far away and going at normal speed.
We assume they're doing the speed limit.
Right. But what if they're doing 20 miles an hour over? Your whole mental calculation is garbage. You thought you had a 5-second gap, but it was really 2. You pull out, and suddenly they're right on top of you.
And it's even worse with pedestrians and cyclists. The whole dynamic shifts because, the vehicle always wins that fight.
The physics are just unforgiving. The sources talk about assuming predictable behavior. You see a pedestrian on the corner, you've got the green light. You just assume they're going to wait.
But what if they're looking at their phone? Or they have headphones in?
Or they just trip. If you don't slow down, if you don't at least cover your brake, you have zero margin for error. You've bet everything on their behavior, which is completely out of your control.
It's so unnerving when you list them out like this. You realize how much blind faith we put in total strangers, and even in our own cars.
That's another big one, the vehicle condition assumption. We just assume the tires will grip, the brakes will hold. But be honest, when was the last time you actually checked your tire pressure?
I usually wait for the little dashboard light to yell at me.
Most people do, which is totally common. But it's an assumption that the machine is perfect, and then we assume other drivers are perfect too, that they're all awake, sober, and paying attention. Statistically, that's a bad bet.
Okay. This brings up a really interesting point from the research. We've been talking about decisions, but the sources go into the physiology of risk, specifically our reaction times. Does assuming safety actually make us physically slower?
It absolutely does. This is where the biology is fascinating. It's about mental prep. When you're driving in that complacent, everything is fine mode, your body is physically relaxed, your foot is on the gas, you're not primed for action.
Not ready to pounce.
Not at all. So say you're approaching that green light, assuming it'll stay green, a car pulls out. Now you have to do a whole sequence of things. First, you have to perceive the threat. Second, you have to process that your assumption was wrong.
Which takes a second. Your brain has to go, wait, what?
It does. That's cognitive dissonance. That's the this isn't the script moment. Then you have to move your foot from gas to brake.
Right.
Then press. That little processing delay, we're talking fractions of a second, but at 60 miles an hour, a 1-second delay is almost 90 feet of travel.
90 feet. Wow, that's huge.
It's the length of a basketball court. It's the difference between a near miss and a trip to the emergency room.
Now compare that to the driver who isn't assuming, the one who's thinking, that car might pull out.
That driver is probably covering the brake. They're already hovering their foot over the pedal. They've skipped the shock phase entirely. They were expecting the surprise, so they just react.
So the assumption literally robs you of time. It steals the seconds you need to stop.
It steals the only thing that matters in a crash: space and time.
Okay, so we've thoroughly diagnosed the problem here. We are built to be complacent, and it makes us slow. Let's pivot. Let's talk about the solution. The sources frame this all around defensive driving.
And we should be clear, this doesn't just mean driving slow. It's a complete mindset shift. It's a shift from assuming order to assuming error.
You expect the unexpected.
That's the core philosophy. You assume the other driver doesn't see you. You assume they might run that light.
The sources list some very specific strategies. The first is the 3-second rule. I think we all heard this in driving school, but why is it the antidote here?
Because it's a physical buffer for that mental lag we just talked about. By keeping at least 3 seconds of distance, you are literally buying back the time your brain needs to process a surprise.
So if the car in front slams on its brakes, you have room to be wrong.
You have space. If you're tailgating because you assume traffic would keep moving, you have no space. The 3-second rule is your insurance policy.
Then there's the phrase I really liked. Verify before acting.
That's the mantra. This is the practical application of the whole idea. It means you look both ways at a green light. You are verifying that cross-traffic has actually stopped.
You're checking your blind spot every single time.
Every time. You're looking at the wheels, not just the blinker. Verification replaces the guess with the fact. It turns driving from a passive thing into an active investigation.
The sources also stressed communication, using signals and headlights as a language.
Driving is social, even if we're in these metal boxes. When you use your turn signal, you are broadcasting your intentions. You're taking away the need for other people to guess what you're doing. You're telling them.
And eye contact. I love this one because it's so human.
It's huge. If you make eye contact with a pedestrian or another driver at a 4-way stop, you have just confirmed mutual awareness. You don't have to assume they see you. You know they do. It cuts through all the ambiguity.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
I drive a pretty new car. It beeps at me if I drift. It has a little light in the mirror for my blind spot. It even brakes for me sometimes. I mean, doesn't the car do this thinking for me now?
And now we hit the paradox of technology. The research calls this technological over-reliance.
But the tech is good, right? I mean, we're not saying to turn it off.
Oh, the tech is incredible. ADAS, advanced driver assistance systems, all these things absolutely reduce risk. But
There's always a but.
the but is that drivers are starting to treat these aids as replacements for their own attention. We assume the tech will save us. We assume that if the little blind spotlight isn't on, the lane must be clear.
But the sensor could be covered in mud, or it could miss a motorcycle.
Exactly. So if you just glance at the light and merge without looking over your shoulder, you're right back to making an unverified prediction. You're just trusting a sensor instead of a blinker.
You're still making an assumption. It's just a high-tech assumption.
And that leads to automation complacency. You stop checking because the car does that. The tech should be a second pair of eyes, not your only pair of eyes.
That's such a critical point. It's a safety net, not a hammock.
Exactly. Not a hammock.
So let's think about parents or anyone teaching a new driver. This feels like the hardest thing to teach because a 16-year-old doesn't have that library of close calls that we have. How do you teach them not to assume?
You have to make the invisible work visible. And one of the best strategies is called narrated driving.
So just talking out loud while you drive?
Yes. When they're driving, or even when you are, you narrate what you're seeing and thinking. Okay, I see a car waiting to pull out. I'm just going to cover my brake, or light's green, but I'm checking left, checking right. Okay, now it's clear.
Basically vocalizing the suspicion.
You're vocalizing the verification.
Yeah.
You're showing them that driving isn't just staring straight ahead. It's an active hunt for hazards. They can't see your mental work unless you speak it out loud.
That's really smart. And what about role-playing?
Yeah, asking what-if questions. What if that cyclist suddenly swerves? Where would you go? It forces them to simulate the emergency before it happens. It breaks the assumption that the cyclist will just stay in a perfect straight line.
That makes a ton of sense.
And simple routines, too. Like a pre-trip inspection. Just walking around the car, checking the tires. It teaches them not to assume the machine is ready. And finally, mindfulness. Teaching them not to rush, because rushing is when we make our worst assumptions.
It all comes back to handling your own mind, not just the car.
The most dangerous part of any car is the nut behind the wheel.
So, to bring this all home, we've looked at the anatomy of an assumption, that unverified prediction. We've gone through the catalog of traps, from trusting blinkers to getting lazy on our own street. And we've seen how assumptions literally steal our reaction time.
And the antidote is that active mindset. Defensive driving. Verification. And remember, the goal isn't to be paranoid. It's not about being terrified. The goal is certainty. It's about replacing "I think it's clear" with "I know it's clear."
It's the difference between being a passenger in the driver's seat and actually being the driver.
Well said.
So, before we sign off, what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, there is one. I want you to think about the social contract of driving. We get on the road assuming everyone else cares about safety as much as we do. We assume they're competent, that they're paying attention.
But the reality is much messier.
The reality is people are tired. They're stressed. They're distracted. So if you start driving with the assumption that everyone else is prone to error, you're not being cynical. You're actually making yourself the protector of the road. By anticipating the mistake they might make, you become the one who prevents the accident.
Wow.
So ask yourself this: how different would your drive look tomorrow if you drove as if you were the only one who was truly paying attention?
That is a powerful shift, being the guardian of the road, not just another user.
Exactly.
Thank you for that, and thank you all for listening to this deep dive. Stay safe, verify everything, and we'll see you on the next one.
Drive safe.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.